I do record this, right? Well, hey, everybody, we are back. It's your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. And back in the studio again this week, realty expert John Brodeen. How you doing, John?
Good.
Let me give you some volume there. How you doing, John?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Good. Last week, we got to know a little bit about you, or on, Wednesday, not last week already.
Yeah.
And learned a lot of good things about you, but I figured it's probably time to talk more about realty things today. And one thing I want to know about, and coming from a realty expert like you, I know you're going to give us the right answers, but are there steps to get ready to buy a new home? I mean, even before you go start looking at new homes, are there certain things that you should do?
Yes. Yep. And this is something we get asked a lot. So this is what the most prepared, probably like the smartest home buyers are doing. Mm-hmm. So we broke it down into kind of 5 easy steps.
Okay.
The first step is going to be contact your agent and begin a relationship. So you know you're going to be moving. Maybe your lease is coming up on your apartment, or you're outgrowing the home that you're in now, or whatever. You want to get a hold of that agent, because when you're buying a home, it doesn't cost you anything to have an agent. Mm-hmm. So the earlier you get in touch with your agent, the more value you get out of that transaction.
Sure.
And so start building that relationship, start communicating so that agent knows exactly what you want, what your plans are. Make sure you're really clear with that agent. And that's how you're going to get the most out of it, because having an expert on your side, if you wait till the last minute to get your expert on your side, you're not getting as much out of it. If you don't, communicate well with them, so they can't really work on your behalf, you're not getting the most out of them. So in order to get the most out of them, you really want to communicate well. And so they know exactly what you want, what you need, what your timeline is, all of that. And then they're really able to do their job for you and make it an easy experience, make it so you get the home of your dreams, all that.
So if I'm thinking in a couple of months down the road, I want to buy a house, it's good to get a hold of you like now.
Yeah.
And get that relationship going?
Even earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Even earlier. If you're 6 months out from moving, that's some of the smartest, most prepared buyers. They're the ones who get in touch with us the earliest.
Okay.
And they usually are the most organized, and it's going to be a more streamlined thing. They're not making an impulse decision. They're setting themselves up for
no surprises, kind of thing.
No disappointments. They know what they want. They know their timeline they want to be on, and they set their agent up to be able to really, really work on that for them and make it as easy on the buyer as possible. So the next thing that you're going to do is talk to a lender. And the reason we put talk to an agent before talk to a lender is a lot of times buyers are looking for a recommendation on who to talk to. Mm-hmm. What are the differences between a mortgage lender at a bank versus a mortgage broker that's independent? We're able to answer a lot of those type of questions, answer questions about loan types, put them in touch with the right person. And the main reason they need to talk to a lender early on in this, that's why we put it at number 2. It could almost be number 1. Basically, these have to happen almost at the same time, mm-hmm. is you want to determine your price range.
Sure.
This is what smart home buyers do. They don't want to set themselves up for a letdown. Maybe a less savvy home buyer might say, okay, I want tall ceilings. I want something built after the year 2000. I want a 3-stall garage. I want this, and this. Okay, that's going to, they start looking online. They're like, okay, I can get that for, starting around $350,000 or $400,000. Okay, so I'm going to start looking at all these houses that are $350,000 and $400,000 and picking out things I really like in these houses and starting to build my home search around this price range. And then they might not realize how much of a monthly payment that comes with, and maybe they don't qualify for that amount. Mm-hmm. Now you've got to go from looking at that price range maybe down to like, $300,000. Mm-hmm. And everything is going to be disappointing down there, and you don't want to set yourself up for disappointment by doing that. It's super unpleasant. I mean, if you get your expectations up really high and then you have to get brought back down to earth, you don't want to put yourself through that. You want it to be a fun, exciting experience.
Mm-hmm. And part of your job as being a realty expert is lining up people with their lenders.
Yes.
I mean, you've got some connections out there. I mean, that's part of your job.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So determining your price range. So getting in touch with your agent, getting in touch with your lender, and determining your price range. Those are going to be your first things that you do. Number 3 is prioritize your needs and wants, and you obviously have to make that realistic to your price range. So get a little bit of a feel for your price range, and see where in that range you want to be, and then see what is most important to you. Maybe it's you're in the 225 range, and it's really important to you to have at least a 2-stall garage. You got to have a 2-stall garage. Maybe it's important to you to have a newer furnace and a newer roof, newer AC.
Or, maybe close to schools or what neighborhood you want to be in.
Yes, exactly. That's a huge thing. What neighborhood you want to be in. That's one of the most important things for people. So figuring out your needs and wants, figuring out what things you have to have versus what things you're negotiable on. And then back to the first thing, you need to communicate that to your agent.
Sure.
The better you communicate that, and a good agent is going to draw that out of you too.
Right.
Because I know that I need to know certain things from you. So finding that out is really important. And then what I'm going to do, number 5 is we're going to send you a list of homes that meet that criteria that you're interested in. And what you want to do here is you want to make like a long list, maybe like 10 or 15 homes that are your top ones that you're interested in for various reasons. And what you're going to want to do next with this list is you're going to want to drive around town, drive by these houses, maybe even drive by them at different times of day. So what you'll probably do is rule out, 75% of them, because you know what areas you want to be in. You might not have known that house was right across from this, or, different things that you like and dislike about different parts of town. Your goal with that driving around is to find out what neighborhoods that you do like, what neighborhoods you don't like, and you want to eliminate a lot of properties on that list. So these 5 things are things that you're going to get done before you even go on your first showing with your agent. But these are the things that the most prepared home buyers are doing, setting themselves up for success when they're ready to buy a house.
So say looking at a house on the north end.
Yeah.
Lovely neighborhoods around there. They go back a ways.
Yep.
But then again, the houses, a lot of them are older houses. But it's like I'm a big yard guy.
Yeah.
I love trees. They're a pain in the butt this time of the year, but I love them. And now, I mean, if you compare those to like the new houses going up on the south end, really not any trees yet. And does that all come into play too when somebody's looking for a place?
Yep.
I mean, do they say I want trees in my yard?
Yeah, that's definitely, that might come into like maybe there's 2 homes that are really nice and fit all of your needs and wants, and that could be the tiebreaker for you.
Sure.
This one's in a really nice established neighborhood with big trees, and the houses around it have big trees, and it's a really nice feel. Like a lot of people love those like the tree streets like Cottonwood and Walnut and Chestnut, because they have that canopy of trees over the road. That might be a deal breaker. It might be that one versus a newer neighborhood that's like the neighborhood west of the university, but you really like the feel of a more established neighborhood with trees, and so that's the house you're going to decide to offer on instead of the
and another thing to look at with that is some of these older houses, the neighborhood where you grew up in. What do they call that neighborhood again?
Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside. Yeah, down in Riverside Park.
Yeah.
But now those houses are, of course, older.
Yep.
But they've got the beautiful yards, beautiful neighborhood. So it's kind of do you want a brand new house, built on the south end, or do you want an established, nice old neighborhood with the beautiful trees and maybe a little bit older houses? But there's a ton of things to think about.
Yeah, and that's going to come down to that meeting when we're talking about your needs and wants. Do you want a house that's over 100 years old? Some people are like, yeah, I'm way more interested in that than something that's built 20 years ago because I want the character.
The character, yeah.
Other people are like, no, I'm just all about, utility and efficiency. So I just want something that's newer and has a more usable floor plan and, is more energy efficient. I don't really care about character. Everybody's different on what they prioritize. So I'll be able to get a really good idea of what you're into by talking to you about that stuff.
Yeah, I actually know somebody that bought one of the new houses just behind the Alaris.
Oh, okay.
Nice house.
Yep.
But didn't have the character
they
were looking for, and ended up buying a house in the neighborhood we were talking about. So
Yeah.
character means a lot to people.
It does.
If so, growing up in Riverside, what something that was really cool about that neighborhood. Well, first off, it's in like the corner of town. The only way you're going to get there is if you are physically going there to like go to the pool or go to the park because it's like kind of tucked away in a corner. But it used to have the old cobblestone streets with the tracks that went through it from the old trolleys and everything. I think now after the flood, they're all gone, but it was so cool. I mean, driving down those roads, and it was like the roads that they had when they had, wagon wheels.
Yeah, I think they finally got rid of all of the cobblestone streets because there was still some just a little bit south of the downtown area.
Yeah, like 4th, I think.
Yeah, and I think, I drive down that street all the time, too, and I remember when they used to have the cobblestones. So, okay, so really, John, though, these 5 steps to get ready to buy a home before anybody, any showings or anything, it's just, it's 5 steps, but they branch off. There could be like a 1A, B, C, 2A. I mean, there's a lot of steps, really, and that's why it's so important to get on the ball on this early.
Yep, we want to try to simplify it for people. So just to break it down one more time. Step 1, contact your agent, begin your relationship there. Step 2, contact your lender and determine your price range. Step 3, prioritize your needs and wants, realistic to your price range. Step 4, have your agents send you a long list, and you can start looking online on Zillow, Realtor.com, etc. And then when out of that list that your agent sends you, number 5, make a list of your favorites, a longer list, 10, 15 homes, and drive by them all so you start getting a feel for these neighborhoods that are going to be available in your price range. It doesn't make sense to start driving through the cheapest, let's say you're in the 225 range. You want to drive through 225 neighborhoods. There's a lot of different available neighborhoods in that price range. It doesn't make sense for you to be driving by the nicest houses in town. It doesn't make any sense to be driving by the cheapest houses in town, but knowing the differences between those 225 neighborhoods is going to be really important. You just want to, for those people who are really prepared and do the best job of buying a home, they're the most happy when they're all said and done and they're in their home. They're confident in their decision that they make because they put in the time to learn enough about it, and they, all that. You want to be confident in your decision for sure.
Okay, so we're months ahead of starting to look at homes. We've got the relationship with you, John. We've gone through all your steps, and then you start going through your lists and your favorite lists. And so after getting to know these people, prospective buyers or sellers, you have in mind already what they're looking for then.
Yep.
So you're keeping your eyes open. Yes. And I would imagine a lot of the times you hear about some of these, houses that are available before they're even probably shown in a picture or in a listing anywhere.
Yep, that happens quite a bit. And that's something where, when we set up this relationship, all we ask is that they commit to work only with us. And in exchange for that, they get all the benefits of working with us. So if you're a client of mine, they've signed on with me and they've committed just to working with me and not working with other agents, then they're going to get all the benefits. And that part of that is hearing about listings before they come on the market. Yeah, I do hear about listings before they come on the market, especially in a market like we've got right now. That's really beneficial to people.
I have a question too, and this could be, for another episode at some point. But, if you're living in town here and you have this like relationship with you as a realtor, and say you want to move to a different city, I mean, would you still want to contact you, or would you want to be in touch with a realtor from that city?
That's a really good question. So, if you've got a relationship already with a realtor in that city, you go ahead with that person. If you're like, hey, I want to know who to use, I don't know who to trust out there, that's something where you can contact me and I can refer you to a trusted agent. I'll interview maybe a couple agents out there. And, I know the questions to ask. Since I'm an agent, I might be able to see through some things that maybe the average consumer wouldn't be able to see through, just to make sure you're set up with somebody who is competent. It's going to give you, enough, the proper time and guidance and everything. So it's all about just me asking the right questions. When I find somebody that's a good match for you, I'm going to refer them to you, and they actually pay me a referral fee out of that. So it's kind of a win-win.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cause I was just thinking, if somebody else and just got a job opportunity and they had to relocate and, they don't have time to sit there and go through all that hassle of trying to, commute back and forth. And
I do that all the time, actually, where, like I've got to sell your house here in town and I've got to set you up with somebody good to help you find a house and wherever you're going.
Okay.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
You know, I never knew that was part of your job. It's funny, John, because every time you come in here, I definitely do learn something. There is way more to being a realtor or realty expert than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
And let's face it, buying a house is one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make in your life.
Yep.
And there are the steps that need to be taken, and you need to take these steps very seriously. You need to be on the ball. You need to be ahead of the game a little bit.
You do, yeah. People who fail to get ahead of the game, like you said, people who aren't prepared, they're going to feel a lot more stress through the whole process. It's going to be a lot more stressful and emotional, and not in a good way. You know, we want you to be relaxed. We want you to be in a good mind frame where you can, because buying your next home, I mean, you're going to spend a good chunk of your life there. So it's pretty important. We want to prepare you so you can be, relaxed and enjoy the whole thing, and make sure you pick the right place.
Now, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the bunch here, but if you go through these steps, you do everything that you're telling us to do. Has it ever happened where just something unforeseen comes up? And the reason I'm asking is because if you are prepared, like we're talking about today, maybe it won't be as bad as it would be if you weren't prepared.
Yeah, like if you weren't prepared, one of the most disappointing things that happens for people is if they don't have a pre-approval yet and their dream house hits the market and they make an offer, but there's other offers and they're not able to get their pre-approval letter in time and they lose it. That's one of the most heartbreaking things.
Oh, that would be heartbreaking,
so that's why we always harp on getting that pre-approval right away, because I don't want to see people go through that. If you do these things, some of those common stumbling blocks aren't going to mess you up. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, of course, we tell people don't do anything that's going to affect your credit in the middle of the transaction. So don't buy a new car, don't buy a new boat on credit, don't do anything like that. Don't buy furniture on credit. That's something where it's not common, but we've seen people make it so they can't get the house because they've changed their credit situation in the middle of the transaction. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do anything that's going to cause you to lose your job. Sometimes things happen that are out of your control, but the chances of those type of things happening, if you're prepared like this, are so unlikely that it's really, you don't have too much to worry about.
Wow. So, folks, if you're out there and you're thinking about buying a home, you should be thinking about the things you need to do months in advance, the 5 steps. And John Brodeen, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Yeah, text me, 701-213-5428, or give me a call. I'd love to talk.
And again, congratulations on the wedding, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, how about that? John Brodeen, back, realty expert from Berkshire Hathaway. You got the phone number. You know the 5 steps to get ready to buy a home before any showings or anything. Go through them if you're seriously thinking about buying a new home, and get a hold of your realty expert, John Brodeen, at Berkshire Hathaway. And that'll wrap it up for the week, your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. We'll wait and see who comes in next Wednesday.